Fan, what's up? Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Definitely hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Climbing closer to 100,000 subscribers right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box and a thumbs up on this video if you think Alabama is going to beat the Michigan Wolverines in this upcoming Rose Bowl? I want to hear from you inside the comment box. And I also want to take your calls today. 205-850-1994 is the call-in line. So look, Alabama, the way that they finished their regular season by winning the SEC championship, they continue to climb their pyramid of success that they have inside the locker room. 11-game win streak, the SEC West champs, the SEC overall champs. Did you guys, by the way, see their poster yesterday, their team poster, which read, the king is back? And what that means to me is, look, this team knew that they had to beat Georgia to basically silence so many continued doubters out there, right? Let a naysayer know. That's been the continued mantra of this team. I love it, the Lank mentality. But they knew that they weren't going to get into the playoffs, most importantly, and the respect that they clearly deserve if they didn't beat the Georgia team. I love the response by Jalen Milroe, after the game is like, we beat your number one. What does that make us? I love that mentality. That's that dog mentality that you need going into the playoffs. And now that you go to the playoffs, you got to remember Nick Saban, 6-1 in the semifinals. And he was asked recently about, the semifinals and kind of the approach to the semifinals. And he said, look, you can't over practice. So I believe that the players, they do have finals within these next couple weeks. And then you have the early signing period before you start to really do the heavy install on Michigan. That's going to come, but you can't over practice and you can't get, overly excited for this next game just yet. I think you have to kind of soak in what's happened, get healthy, take care of finals, then turn the page to Michigan. And I can't wait. It's going to be an interesting game. So I want to get your take on the Rose Bowl and that matchup and how you see it going down, at least on paper for now. I think Michigan opens up as a favorite in that particular game. Kings of the South, absolutely. There were so many people out there, and I'll take your calls in a minute. 205-850-1994. I want to get that call line nice and filled up. There were so many people that had anxiety this entire season, didn't feel – and I remember I go back to kind of that Ole Miss game where a lot of people felt that, honestly, Alabama was in trouble for that game. A lot of people felt they were in trouble for that game against Tennessee, against LSU. And Alabama continued to just prove people wrong, go out there and win on the field. And you look to how they were able to piece some of these games together. A lot of it came in the second half. But I think against Georgia, most recently, how are you playing today? And Alabama really controlled that game. I think when they made some defensive adjustments after Georgia went down the field and put one in the end zone, Alabama then controlled that game going forward. And that's credit to the coaches, credit to the players, credit to Nick Saban up top for being able to make adjustments like that on the fly in a game of that magnitude. And again, I've talked about the consistency of this defense all season long. I think that's really been what the team has been built on. I love that factor. And when you kind of do your rewatch, notice the play of Dallas Turner, notice the play of Deontay Lawson, Trez Marshall, how these guys are performing at such a high level. Chris Broswell made Carson Beck really uncomfortable, and I really like that about that defensive mentality, because you had to make him uncomfortable. This is a guy that had only been sacked 10 times into that going into that game, which is a crazy number considering that Alabama's quarterbacks overall have been sacked like 35 times or something like that. Different offensive schematic system, but you get what I'm saying. I saw one time Chris Broswell just buried him into the back of the end zone. It wasn't a sack, but he hit him. He made him uncomfortable. And I think Carson Beck, he made a couple of good plays, absolutely, but he was uncomfortable in that game. Let's talk about Nick Saban. Wow, what a run. There was so many people at the beginning of the year that were like, he lost his fastball. We want Coach Prime. We started to look for coaching candidates. I was like, slow down. The coaching isn't done in the fall. It's not done in summertime. It's a culmination of all these things that you have to blend together to be able to build this team. You look to the players and the components that they lost from last season into this season, completely different team. And I was asked yesterday by the staff at Orange Bloods who run the Texas site, is the 2022 team better than 2023 team? I think in some aspects, maybe so, but overall, this is the better team. This is the team that is going to win a national championship. And I know that's rat poison talk. That's just my opinion. You can comment inside the comment box if you feel differently about this team. But I think what makes this team different and better than last year is one thing: defense. And I know the main X factor is certainly Jalen Milroe and how he's been able to evolve as a quarterback, but I honestly think defense. I honestly do. And I think that if Kevin Steele was a defensive coordinator these last couple years, I think Alabama maybe has another title or two. So I think the major difference between the two teams is the defense. And what do they say about defense? Defense wins championships, right? Okay. This whole conspiracy thing about Florida State being left out of the playoffs and that ESPN knew ahead of time that it was going to be Bama. I knew it was going to be Alabama like weeks ago. I don't have any inside information into the playoff committee. Are you kidding me? Like, they were trending upwards. And when Jordan Travis, the quarterback, got hurt, you know who knew? Besides me, Vegas. Vegas told you. They listed the teams well ahead of time. Now, I think they had Oregon and Bama kind of the same, and those were playoff play-in games between Washington and Oregon and Alabama and Georgia. And I get it. A lot of those fans for Florida State, they were calling Coach Saban. You saw that his number got leaked, right? They were calling him, and they were mad at him. Coach Saban didn't have anything to do with the playoffs besides coaching up his team to win, controlling what he could control, and that was to win, to beat the number one ranked team. It was the committee's job to rank the teams all season long. And, you know, at one point they had Ohio State in there. I think at one point, I don't even know where Alabama was way back. I think was the furthest they were back 11th or 8th. I can't remember. It might have been 8th. I think they were always behind Texas and still are behind Texas as, you know, Texas is the number 2 seed. And then it's Washington and then Texas. But whatever. I mean, at this point, it's just the 4 best teams. So I would be it would be terrible if there is some sort of legality around the college football playoffs. Can you imagine if Nick Saban went to his lawyers last year and was like, hey, we lost by 4 points and we didn't get in the playoffs? They'd be like, so what, man? Sorry. And the thing is, not all things go your way in life. Sometimes they just don't work out. I mean, raise your hand if everything has worked out for you in your life. No. Sometimes even when you're perfect, you're not perfect. And we know that Florida State is not perfect. Here's the thing that's going to really bug me going forward, and I think this will probably bug you too, is if Florida State goes and, you know, when they play Georgia, and if they lose to Georgia, they're going to say, we didn't have our quarterback. But they're saying that they should be into the playoffs without their quarterback now. You get what I'm saying? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't think there's a conspiracy. I think at the end of the day, it was a system that's built to fail. The College Football Playoff Committee, I don't like it. It's dirty. It stinks. But that was the system that we had. It's not right. It was built to fail, and it did fail. It continues to fail, and, you know, that's why I'm looking forward to the next format of the playoffs, and I'm sure we'll find something to gripe about, to complain about next time, because it's just not it. All right, the revenge tour still not over. The revenge tour started, you know, at the beginning of the season. This team was hungry, and the revenge tour means win the national championship to me. But you know, as you go forward, there was a lot of doubters that you have to prove wrong. And the great thing is, Alabama, they matched up with Georgia, a team they had revenge for. I'm sure you saw on social media. If you haven't seen it, I saw it on Instagram just recently. It's about Coach Saban's message to his team, his pregame speech. And he said, look, let's go take back what's ours. And he said it way back in the summertime that there was a team from the East that took what was theirs. And that was the national championship. That was the SEC championship. And that was the Georgia Bulldogs. I go back to the summertime, okay? And that was when the SEC Media Day took place. And it was all Georgia. Every single thing was Georgia. It was the first time, honestly, that I felt Alabama was almost a little bit irrelevant, right? You had all those guys on Georgia from the first-team offense and first-team defense. There was one guy from Alabama who made the first team offense. That was J.C. Latham. And there was 2 guys that made the first team defense. I think it was Dallas Turner and Kool-Aid. And then there was Kool-Aid made it as a punt returner and Will Riker as a special teams kicker. Other than that, it was like second team type guys. So Alabama had to, you know, get back to this point of the college football mountain. And while they aren't on top just yet, they're climbing, and it's within reach. Now you have the Michigan Wolverines, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And before I take your calls, let me just run through a couple of these points to get the show warmed up. The revenge tour will end when Nick Saban is holding a national title. And that will be like, look, we did it. This is what we knew we could do with these players on this team, with these coaches on this team, and they're close to it. All right, let's see. Tyler Buckner to Notre Dame to play lacrosse. So real quick on Tyler Buckner, things clearly didn't work out. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for players. It's been a really interesting story to continue to track because he was this quarterback that came with Tommy Rees kind of in somewhat, I don't know if it was necessarily a package deal, but it seemed like it, right? With Tommy Rees coming from Notre Dame, I think there was a lot of people in the back that thought that, Tyler Buckner could make a, push for the starting job. We all know that that was not the case. And, he had his opportunity in week 2, didn't work out for him. So why is he entering the transfer portal as a lacrosse player? Well, he's one of the best lacrosse players, I guess, coming out of high school. And the fact that he can basically play lacrosse right now, immediately at Notre Dame, where he would have to sit out a year if he wants to play football. I don't know if his football career is done, but we wish him the best. And you have plenty of quarterbacks here to choose from once Jalen Milroe leaves. And I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to leave after this season. That's my opinion. I've been talking about that for a long time. I think that Jalen Milroe wins a natty this year and probably next year too, with all the arsenal coming back for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Okay, as we turn the page to, there was also another transfer, Thao Jones-Bell. It was interesting because he wasn't even on the roster, I think in August. So, those are the two guys so far. And Coach Saban said this would be my last thing on the transfer portal, is that the transfer portal is going to be different for teams that are in the playoffs because those teams are still intact. And that's what's wrong about the transfer portal and about the way that college football playoffs are set up is a lot of these teams feel that, or these players feel that the bowl games are irrelevant. And let's face it, they are. They're going to be different type of teams. So therefore, players are going to enter the transfer portal and make moves. Whereas the teams in the playoffs, those teams are still playing for the ultimate trophy. So you're not going to see a lot of transfers going into the transfer portal or whatever from the top 4 teams in the playoffs. And I think that's pretty obvious why. As we turn the page to the Rose Bowl, you have a matchup between Alabama and Michigan. And where's all the sign stealing stuff gone, right? I think what happened was that conspiracy overtook that. And now, Alabama somehow had, first of all, the ESPN doesn't want Alabama, then they want Alabama and all this stuff, whatever. Well, what happened with the sign stealing stuff? And was the 3-game suspension enough? And why did that go away? Was that kind of just a slap on the wrist? Was that a great PR move to basically be like, hey, we're going to suspend you for 3 games and it's just going to be allegations and all this stuff will go away. And then the college football, by the time that happens, people will forget about it. So why has that gone away? And if you're Coach Saban, and, maybe that's a great question for him, going into this game with the allegations, and I'm sure they switch up signs and different things periodically or weekly, but does that come into play, going up against Michigan? I don't know. Curious to get your thoughts as well. Sugar Bowl, Texas and Washington. Washington has been a team that a lot of people haven't really given that respect factor to. I'm probably one of them as well. Their quarterback is really good. Their wide receivers are good. 91 ranked defense. I think that Texas is going to give it to Washington. Then again, there was a handful of people that thought Oregon was going to beat Washington as well. They were even a 9-point underdog in that game. They were underdog against Oregon State as well, and they continue to win, and they are undefeated on the season. The hottest teams in college football, in my opinion, Texas and Alabama, 100%. I think they're on a collision course to meet in Houston for the national championship. The Heisman Trophy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jane Daniels. Those are the guys that are going to Manhattan to go to the Downtown Athletic Club for the Heisman Trophy. I would assume it's probably going to be Bo Nix. I haven't checked the updated finals. That's just off the top of my head because the last time that I looked, he was like a plus 110 or a minus 110 favorite to win the award or whatever. Who do you think is going to win the Heisman Trophy inside the comment box? And that's an award more off style points. And it's kind of a travesty to the award. And I've always felt this way about the Heisman Trophy. And I love the Heisman Trophy. I have a book where it's about the Heisman Trophy winners and kind of the stories of each of the winners. It's a really good book. But I've always felt that it should be determined at the end of the season because you're going into the playoffs, you're going into these bowl games, you're going into the national championship game. These players are about to go above and beyond for their teams. Like think about a player like Jalen Milroe. He's the best player in all of college football. We haven't even seen him, in a game like the Rose Bowl with all the pageantry. What is he going to do in that game? What is he going to do in the national championship should they beat Michigan, right? Anyways, credit to all those guys, absolute ballers, all of them. Jane Daniels, we saw him here in Tuscaloosa, absolute baller. Penix Jr., absolute baller as well. Bo Nix and Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, those guys are monsters. Ryan Williams, as we get closer to signing day, which will be on December 20th. That's like the early signing period. We start to look to kind of the recruiting, and I think that recruiting has definitely changed. I mean, where's all the attention at? It's on the transfer portal, and rightfully so, because those are the guys that can come in and make immediate impacts. There's been a lot of guys. Yesterday it was over 1,000 guys that entered in the transfer portal, but Ryan Williams is a major target, and I think in the next 6 days he's going to make a major announcement. Could it be a flip? I don't know. Possibly. I think with Yellowwood down in Auburn, they can do whatever they want because they have endless amounts of money. So when you come to this NIL game, Auburn is going to be a major player just because they have so much money behind them, and that is going to be a major storyline to follow. The other thing would be that he's reclassifying to the class of 2024, which would stay with Bama, and then he's able to come in, let's say in the springtime or something like that, which would be phenomenal to this wide receiving unit. So there's major storylines to cover with Ryan Williams for sure. But let's go to the phone lines. I appreciate you guys. We got 5 callers on. We got 256, 865. We got a 334, a 479. Let's start with this 256 to get it started. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Daryl from Huntsville.
Daryl, what's up? I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much for joining me on this beautiful Tuesday, man. Take it away and welcome to the show.
Always my pleasure. Got to give Alabama a lot of credit. A lot of people, mostly people did not believe Alabama had a chance against Georgia. And they did what I said they had to do. They got turnovers. They got a crucial turnover. When Georgia scored and made it 20, got within 7 points, within 3 points. I'm sorry, got within 3 points. Alabama had a crucial drive, and they executed. It was the Isaiah Bond chapter, 5 passes to Isaiah Bond, and Roydell Williams finished it all, and that was it for Georgia. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as this conspiracy thing, people love conspiracy. Mm-hmm. They still trying to say that Tupac's alive and Martin Luther King and JFK on the island brain damage. They're taken care of by the government, man. And people, that stuff is not going anywhere.
Yeah. So
at the end of the day, they can say everything they want, but it really comes down to one word, 2 words: Alabama hate.
Yep. Because
when you win, people don't like winners.
Yeah.
The most despised team, one of the most despised teams in North American sports is the New York Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're despised.
Mm-hmm.
And guess why? Because they won 27 world championships. That's why they're despised.
Yeah.
And, people are trying to disguise it, when my team, as long as we're playing the, other teams, I root for the SEC. No, they don't. Tennessee fans don't root for Alabama. Bull crap. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Revenge tour. You said it. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's not complete yet until we hold that trophy.
That's it.
Buckner to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I wish him all the luck. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a quarterback. The Rose Bowl. If you're an Alabama historian, you know that they changed the Rose Bowl to the Big Ten and the Pac-10 because Alabama had dominated the Rose Bowl, and they beat a team that everybody said they couldn't be beaten, Washington. They went out there and destroyed them, and the Rose Bowl was like it is, but it's still one of the great bowls of all time. Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh has, he hates Nick Saban. Now, let's just tell the truth. Mm-hmm. It'll be a bunch of gracious stuff saying, but he hates Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And he proved that when he came down to Alabama and installed some recruiting camps in the state of Alabama. Who does that?
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, because he's cheap and petty. Sign stealing. How did he get 3 games for that and not be suspended the rest of the season?
Right.
Explain that to me. Somebody make me believe that this was just. The Sugar Bowl. We built the Sugar Bowl. I know people gonna get mad at I'm saying it, but that's just the truth.
Yep.
The hottest teams in college football, Texas and Alabama, no doubt about it.
100%.
Heisman Trophy. I believe Jaden Daniels will win the Heisman Trophy. I can't see Bo Nix winning the Heisman Trophy. He lost 2 times to Washington.
Yep.
And Ryan Williams, make a good decision for yourself, son, because that money shines for a minute, but all of a sudden, next thing you know, you back in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think on the transfer portal and guys who are or the or name, image, and likeness. I mean, it's just the world we live in, and I think a player like Ryan Williams. I mean, if you're him, I have no insight into his camp or whatever. You have to be able to look at the larger scale, whatever prospect it is. These high school kids look at the ultimate way that you're going to be coached at Alabama, and just turn on the TV in the NFL. Right? I mean, what Nick Saban has been able to do beyond name, image, and likeness, and I get it. Players are going to get some big money opportunities early on, but the ultimate big money is if you just stay patient and you get in the NFL. Your NFL contracts are going to be much larger than your name, image, and likeness. I promise you. So sit tight and you kind of just follow the process. But this is the world that we live in, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see what a player like that does, and I think it's important because he is an impact player, 100%. If you've seen his highlights, if you watch him down at Saraland, the guy is an absolute monster. I think he has really comparable speed to Jalen Waddle, and you can't throw that around very easily because a player like that comes around just once in a while. But Ryan Williams is definitely that type of player. What else you got, Dale, while you're on the show?
Yeah, let me say this. I'm so tired of people. Back to this conspiracy. Well, it's FSU. Well, if FSU played LSU right now, LSU beat them by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. I would even bet on it, and I don't bet. But at the beginning of the season, and I know FSU lost the quarterback. He was decent. I've seen him play 3 games. I never thought he was an outstanding quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was decent. He made some plays when they needed it.
Yep.
But for them to act like he was a world burner, that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my TV. I must be watching a counterfeit Florida State team because I saw them play. They got a good defense,
yep,
but they're offensively challenged.
Yep.
And you saw that when they played Louisville, which was just it stunk. And they can say whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
It just comes down to, again, the kings of confetti, Alabama.
Yep.
They hate us. They've always hated us, and they're going to continue to hate us.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Derek. Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for leading off the show, and we'll catch up with you again this week.
Always my pleasure, Kyle. You're doing a great job, and keep on rising to the top.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, Daryl. All right, Daryl calling in from Huntsville. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Coming up next on the show, we got a 856-334-479-251, and it looks like we got Demetrius calling in as well. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. If you do call in and you hear a big busy signal, that means that the lines are full. I have 5 lines right now that are opened, and like I said, I do pay for the line, so I appreciate you guys being patient. I will be taking my show on the road December 15th, really probably through I don't know, January, let's say 9th, 10th, I'm going to be on the road because I'm going to New Mexico to go see my family. I really only get there once a year because of, I live in Tuscaloosa, but I'm going to Santa Fe and to Albuquerque later on December 15th through Christmas. So I'll be with my family. So I will be doing my show remote from New Mexico, still taking your calls during that time, still covering news, all that stuff. And then I will be going out to Pasadena and covering the Rose Bowl. And then from the Rose Bowl, Hopefully I am flying to from LA to Houston and then from Houston back to Birmingham. So I'm about to be on the road, but I will continue to deliver the content right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got an 865, and we'll take it right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Yes, Angel from Pigeon Forge.
Hey, Pigeon Forge, I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in, Angel. The last time I went to Pigeon Forge, can I tell you a quick story? I like to give some of my stories based off the places I've been. Okay, so I went to Pigeon Forge with my family at the time. It was 2020. It was March 2020, and I'm playing football at one of the parks. I was staying up in a cabin, and I was playing football with one of my buddies at a local park, and he threw the ball, and I'm a wide receiver. I'm going to say I'm a pretty good athlete, okay? The ball, the way that the football hit me, it smashed in my index finger all the way inside. It was grotesque. I had to go in, and this was when COVID exploded. So I went to the Pigeon Forge, local place where they, tried to reset my finger. Long story short, they couldn't. I had to come back to Tuscaloosa a couple days later. So I chilled in Pigeon Forge, up in beautiful Pigeon Forge with a dislocated finger for a couple days. But I'm all good, and I love it up there. It was so packed. There were so many people, and I'm sure you've seen kind of the growth of that area. But anyways, I appreciate you being here. Welcome to the show, and go ahead, take it away, man.
Yes, about the Rose Bowl, I'm sorry for that game, actually. And not only that, the Tyler Buckner situation, it's not a loss. I mean, we got the best guys right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And we get so much hate from being Bama fans, because they just hate winning. And Texas and Alabama, I can't wait to see that rematch. Hopefully, which I know we're going to win that game against Michigan, because Michigan is just not that great of a team offensively. All they do is run the football, and and we're going to stop the run game pretty easily.
It's interesting.
And the revenge tour.
It's interesting. On the line with Angel from Pigeon Forge. On that Rose Bowl note, why has the sign stealing kind of gone away? I'm not trying to maybe I am trying to bring it up a little bit, because it was such a major deal. And then the 3-game suspension basically it? Why does that bother you? Is that something that's gone away? Why do you think that's gone away?
Well, because Florida State stuff and all that.
Yeah,
and
right.
They just hate Alabama. We deserve to be there,
Mm-hmm.
And Florida State, they played a cupcake schedule, to be honest with you. It's just not that great. And they have no argument, because they beat 2 good teams, that's it. But they almost lost Boston College by 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then crapped a bet against Louisville.
And they should have lost against Clemson. And they should have lost against Clemson too. I brought that out a million times. Clemson missed a field goal to win that game. They were also down 13-0 to North Alabama. They clearly weren't the same team at the back end of the season. In that game, the ACC, for those people that watched it, that was terrible. How did Louisville even win all those games? And that just shows you the quality of competition in the ACC. Florida State, get out of there, or try to. That's what's holding you back. And you need to get out of that conference however you can. Really great season, but not a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think that Florida State would beat. Let me ask you this: inside the comment box, and they're playing in the Orange Bowl. Who wins inside the comment box, Georgia or Florida State? Right?
Georgia.
Thank you. Yeah. So. You kind of look at, some of the matchups within the top 8 versus Florida State. I think a lot of people take people other than the Seminoles. Did you see, too, that Coach Saban's phone number, it got hacked, and people were calling in from the state of Florida, and they were mad at Coach Saban, and they had called him every name in the book. So
that's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's just why.
Yeah. What else you got, Angel, when you look to the board of the topics today?
Well, I just think that Texas is a better team than Washington.
Mm-hmm.
In both sides of the ball. And then Bama, regarding Michigan, their reaction to the playoff when they saw Alabama get in, they knew they were going to get a cupcake. Mm-hmm. And Jim Harbaugh has proven in time and again that he can't win most of the big games, I mean, in 2019 we won the Citrus Bowl against them. So he's afraid to play Nick Saban. He's afraid of the GOAT.
Yeah, I was at that Citrus Bowl game. I went down to Orlando, um, and I watched Alabama and Michigan play in that particular game. And even listening to the press conference just recently between Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh making their opening comments, he's like, look, I liked him. I'm a 49er fan, and I liked him when he was the head football coach, but kind of seeing the oddities that he has and kind of how this whole sign stealing and the thing that he said, like they're America's team and everyone's against them. I don't know, that's kind of brought on Michigan itself. And I think there's a lot of people that people don't like Alabama. People don't like Michigan right now. And that's just kind of the way it is. And like you said, I think that Texas is much better than Washington. I don't think you said that, but I think, Texas and Alabama are probably on a collision course. When you look to kind of this whole revenge tour thing, how big of it overall do you think was it for Alabama to beat Georgia to kind of gain back that relevancy? Because I think a lot of people in the world thought that Nick Saban and Alabama football, that they were vulnerable and that they were done, quite honestly.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad the revenge war happened this way because he's the GOAT. He's proven it on the field.
Yeah.
And Georgia, I mean, they had a good run, but they kind of knew this was going to happen again. Because Nick Saban, you can't doubt him because you know what happens when you doubt him. You lose.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait. I just can't wait for this to play out and Alabama beat the cheaters,
Yeah, I kind of knew that Alabama and Michigan would line up together. I mean, it's going to be great TV. I mean, out at the Rose Bowl, I love the fact that Alabama is the underdog again in this game against Michigan. Michigan does have a really good defense. I've been really impressed, with watching some of their defense now that I've been looking at some Michigan and saw them mostly against Ohio State. And aside from that, I mean, I think they have the number one ranked defense in the country. So another great opportunity for Alabama to showcase that they are better than people expect. But Angel, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for calling in from Pigeon Forge. Please call again next time.
Thank you. Roll Tide, Lank.
All right. Yeah, roll tide to you. Yeah, Lank, I like that. All right, Claire, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate the support with the playoff travel. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is going to be a busy season of travel, and I am looking forward to going out west. I would prefer to go to the Sugar Bowl because that's a game that you probably do drive, and then I guess you could drive back to Birmingham and then fly to Houston or however it works out. But I think it will provide a great opportunity for Alabama and Texas, if that is the case, to meet up in Texas. And wouldn't that be a story, because the two teams met here in Tuscaloosa, and then they have a shot to go to Houston. So I know that's the rat poison type stuff, but it certainly could happen. And I know the guys from Orange Bloods in Texas are fired up about that as well. All right, call line is open, 205-850-1994. We got a 334, and we'll take that right now. Hey, on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. This is Kyle from Tallahassee. I know you have another caller that's from Tallahassee as well. And we're a pretty small city, so that was pretty nice to see.
Yeah, I was looking on the overall demographics of where everybody is calling from, not only calling from, but like watching the channel from, and different cities. And of course, it's all over the country. And you see some of these larger cities, like for example, it makes sense because of Atlanta is one of our bigger ones, Nashville, of course. And I think, people from Alabama kind of migrating to those different areas. But also, you have people down, a large portion is from Mobile, right? And, of course, the Birmingham area. So to see kind of the cities within the state of Alabama, and now to have two callers from Tallahassee, because like you said, like you probably remember, I thought it was Tallahassee, and I'm sure you get that a lot when you tell people where you're from. But anyways, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. I've been watching you since the spring. First-time caller, so I'm super excited. I just want to start off with a couple of facts that I think people overlook quite a lot. And it's very simple. I don't mean to state the obvious, but the fact that no one's talking about it really, I think, needs to be said. People need to remember that Nick Saban versus Kirby Smart is 5-1. Wow. Like, can you imagine if it was the other way?
Oh my goodness!
There would be nobody saying that, oh, Saban's better than Kirby, but it's just the fact that people don't like Alabama, and we're on top. And another thing is, since 2009, there has not been 3 years that there has not been 3 years that went by that Alabama has not won a championship. And obviously, that's a big reason why people don't like Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, it was super awesome to see Jalen Milroe kind of have that emotional moment after the game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure it's been just so much on his plate all year, and he has had so many doubters. And even me, I'll admit, I had a slight moment of doubt, like after the Texas game,
Mm-hmm.
but I was never one hating on this young man.
Mm-hmm.
But to see him come so far has been just so great to see. And if there is any Alabama fans that has any doubt about Jalen Milroe now, just take the jersey off. Just take the jersey off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this man, it's amazes me that he's not in more of the Heisman conversation, but hopefully he'll be back next year. I think that's in his best interest, and he'll be one of the front runners, I'm sure.
I think that with I kind of like the fact that Milroe's out of the Heisman Trophy contention, and the reason is it keeps you hungry. Not to say that he's not hungry, but look, this young man, his story is not over, and he wants to prove to everybody that. Hold on, let me mute you real quick because we got some feedback coming from your end. And he wants to prove just how he's continued to improve as a quarterback overall. So I think coming in with that mindset of, hey, you guys don't doubt me, even going into this playoff season, is only going to increase his level of play. It's going to keep him playing at the highest level, keep him hungry, and his team around him, because that's the leader of their team. He was just voted as the team MVP, as a permanent captain on this team. They all believe in him, and you're right. Like, the story, it's one of the best stories in college football, honestly, the transformation. We continue to talk about that, but we also continue to see it. And it's not like we're making this stuff up. I love the fact that you bring up the statistics that he's 5-1 against Kirby. I mean, here's another statistic. He's 6-1. Coach Saban is 6-1 in the semifinals, which is amazing, right? 6-1. So when you look to the playoff matchups and how Nick Saban has continued to get his team into the playoffs with all the changes that have happened in college football over the last, 2 seasons? Think about this. Think about how much college football has changed in terms of the organizational management, the new signing period within the last 6 seasons, right? I mean, it's completely changed. And Coach Saban, even though, he's one of the older coaches in the SEC, he's continued to evolve with the game. He's continued to keep the program relevant, and most importantly, keep this team winning. What else you got, Kyle?
Man, you hit it right at the nail on the head. Coach Saban, that is what has proven him to be the best, is he has managed to stay on top of the times despite his age. Who else has been able to do that? People thought Dabo Swinney was going to be the new this. All right, now Kirby Smart. I mean, nobody has been able to do it like Nick Saban. And us as fans are just so lucky to have him as our coach. And we just need to cherish him for as long as he is our coach, because as long as I've been able to understand, hey, you're going to be an Alabama fan, that's what I was told when I was a kid. And I was like, and just it's just been such a nice ride, and I'm just so thankful that we're in the playoffs this season. I mean, it's been so much stress after the Texas game and then the South Florida game, and then every week we're hoping that Washington's going to lose, Texas is going to lose. It's just been a ride, man, but we control our own destiny at this point, and I can finally take a breath.
Yeah, no, so we're on with Kyle from Tallahassee, and I appreciate the super chat, Gavin. Thank you very much for the continued support. We also got some new fan funders on. We got Tommy, and then we also got Bell in here as a fan funder. So I really appreciate you guys. To become a fan funder of the YouTube channel, go to the top of this YouTube page and hit the join button. It's next to the subscribe button. If you're on your phone, just scroll up. There's like a long hyperlink. Click that. I really appreciate you guys. And you're right about the story of Coach Saban, right? Like, sometimes I think you just have to sit back, and enjoy like where we are. Take right now as it is. Listen to his press conferences. Absorb them. What he's doing will never be duplicated at all. So to see him, still just so with this spirit of winning, the true commissioner of college football, his words carry so much weight, but he continues to win on the field. I mean, them beating Georgia was just amazing. That Georgia Bulldog team was really outstanding. So, credit to Coach Saban. I don't know if he's going to win Coach of the Year awards. There's plenty of coaches that can win those awards. Sometimes they're meaningless, but more than, this year, more than ever, I think he's really coached his ass off along with Kevin Steele. And we've seen a great growth from Tommy Rees as well. This was a guy that people were, upset with at the beginning of the year, and rightfully so. It just wasn't an entertaining offense. But now Alabama, with him unleashing Jalen Milroe, I think we've all liked it. All right, Kyle, I got to run to my next caller, man, but please call again next time, and I really appreciate the dialogue.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Kyle.
All right,
Thanks, man.
Take it easy. All right, Kyle from Tallahassee. Looks like we got another super chat that has come in. William, Roll Tide, beat Michigan. The committee did the right thing. Yeah, the committee absolutely did the right thing. You had to get the top 4 teams in. I think they got 3 out of the 4 best teams in. I still think that Georgia's better than Washington. But someone told me yesterday, they're like, Washington continues to be doubted and they keep winning. Wouldn't it be an epic shocker if Washington beats Texas? I think that's probably, I mean, what's the line? Jarvis, if you're inside the comment box, what's the spread? What's the line between Texas and Washington? What did it open up at? I'm going to say 10.5 Texas. Is that too much? I honestly think that Texas is able to beat Washington by 17 points. Spence, what's up? I appreciate it. You became a YouTube member. Thank you very much for becoming a fan funder of our YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We go back to the phone lines. Wow, only -4? My goodness, you guys better take that while you can. All right, Demetrius, what's up, man? Let's do it. Demetrius, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Roll Tide, my main man. Kyle, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you very much for calling in, man. What you got, man? Take it away.
Let me hop right in right quick. What an awesome game. What an awesome game. When did we ever leave the mountaintop? That's what I want to know. Kings of the South. We're king of the college football. Ain't no kings of the South. Hey, that's just a part of it. As far as the coach Nick Saban, I've said it time and time again on the show. Nick Saban forewarned about all this playoff expansion, NIL, all this stuff, transfer portal, transfer rules, recruiting rules, recruiting periods. He forewarned the whole college football about this. Now it come to pass and everybody whining. Hey, that's your own fault. And like the coaches said last night on the show, that's the ACC fault. I do remember the ACC and a couple other conferences teamed up because the SEC and the Big Ten was getting too powerful, so they tried to team up and go against the grain. And also, when Dabo Swinney was screaming had the megaphone, he was no, we need a 14 playoff. What was Florida State did? Florida State did. They were silent. They ain't had nothing to say. And as far as conspiracy, you're lucky. Georgia should be in the 4 best teams by far. Out of all the teams in college, if Alabama played them 10 times, they'll beat each. Majority of them go undefeated. They'd have 1 loss against the top tier team. But if they play Georgia 10 times, hey, it might go 6-4 leaning towards Alabama. That's how good Georgia is. I mean, Kirby got some things rolling down there. They got my respect. And as far as the revenge tour, it ain't never over. We the most hated team in college football. We get everybody best shot. Week in, week out. I don't care if it's Kyle Henderson University. I said it and I say it again. And Butler leaving, wish him, man, he ain't cost too much trouble. He wasn't on Twitter or social media like them other guys we done had in the past. He done it respectfully. I wish him the best on his endeavors. Gonna go out here to the Rose Bowl. We're gonna do our thing. It ain't gonna be an easy game, but we're gonna pull away because I believe Michigan is a pretender. And maybe everybody should listen to Ryan Day, because Ryan Day called it out about Clemson here some years ago. About this. When Ryan Day, I mean, I believe the man knows something about when somebody's stealing signs or something. And it's a travesty. They talking about the selection of Florida State travesty. That's the travesty of the game for the sport right there. Is that cheating nonsense they got going on. Come on now. You that desperate to win, and I believe it's some conspiracy it's more powerful people behind all that cheating conspiracy. They want to win that bad up there in Michigan. And the Sugar Bowl, it's going to be, Texas can't blow them out, but I can see Washington eking out something. I mean, because that back end of Texas, it really ain't all that good. And, of course, we're the hottest team in football. Heisman, Jaden Daniels by a long shot. And, you know, and that Ryan Williams, as far as the transfer portal and everything, I mean, as far as him coming to Alabama, look, you see what the transfer portal and all this stuff, hey, a lot of these players are transfer because they just can't cut the mustard. And don't fall in that category. Get wherever you decide to go, stick with it and stay there and work your butt off to get where you're going. And I'm just excited for this team. And I'm gonna say this and go, Cal. I am sick and tired of these pundits and analysts, so-called analysts, mad because of Alabama. What you mad for? Florida State is mediocre, even with their quarterback, even with Jordan Travis's quarterback. They play in that cupcake ACC. You got the cupcake Big Ten. You got the cupcake Pac-12. All these cupcake conferences. Well, the SEC, they had an off year every once in a while, but I guarantee you, Texas, Oklahoma come to SEC, it ain't gonna be no cakewalk. They're gonna take some losses they wasn't expected to take losses to. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this team, man. These young men done proved, like your shirt say, let all the naysayers know. They done proved a lot of people wrong. And that's all I gotta say, Kyle. I'm getting ready to go make this delivery. Y'all roll tide. Y'all have a good one. Be safe and out there, and blessed one out there, Crimson Tide family. Roll tide.
All right, take it easy, Demetrius. Stay safe, man. Appreciate you delivering those goods across this great country. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube, 205-850-1994. We got a 479, a 251, and a 256 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I think when you look to, this Michigan team and kind of that sign stealing, I think someone said it inside the comment box. They're tired of the whole, conspiracy thing about Florida State. I mean, it's going to – me too. I mean, I think it'll kind of drown out. What's scary to me, and I just hope there's no litigation from, Florida State. I think I saw, was it a senator that said that they wanted they were looking for answers and they wanted text messages and all that stuff from the playoff committee. I mean, can you imagine if they try to prolong this? I mean, weird stuff happens. I'm really praying that it doesn't. And if you're Florida State – what a consolation prize. You get Georgia, a team that has won their last 29 out of 30 games, a team that has won the last 2 national title games. Why be upset with that? What an opportunity for you to play an elite team. You shouldn't be upset about that. I welcome the challenge. You get a chance to play Georgia, you take that. Just like Alabama. Look, how many of you inside the comment box were excited for Alabama to play Kansas State? Not a lot, I would assume. But it was a Sugar Bowl, right? So you went out there and you played Kansas State. And the great thing about it was, check this out. Bryce Young played, William Anderson played, and honestly, that Alabama team, they played their best game of the season. Even Jermaine Burton, they played their best game of the season in the Sugar Bowl when they could have bounced out, right? You look at Caleb Williams, he's not playing in the Holiday Bowl for USC. All these players have to make their own choices and decisions, what's best for them. But, you look at Bryce and Will being first-round guys, they didn't have to play in those type of games, and they did, and they brought home a Sugar Bowl for Alabama. I just think that that speaks volumes to kind of them as players and then also up top as coaches, and, they're part of the team. So with that said, we go to 479. Let's do it right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Juwan from Fayetteville.
Hey, what's up, Juwan? I appreciate you calling in, man. There's kind of like a little bit of an echo on your side. Not sure Want to check the audio before we get
Hey,
going,
can you
man.
hear me now?
Yeah, we can try to roll with this, man.
You hear?
But yeah, welcome to the show, man. I'm gonna tell you if the audio needs to be fixed. It does sound kind of like a echoey, but anyways, man, let's see what we got. Welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you calling in. I always enjoy rapping with you, man.
I'm just trying to weigh in on everything going on, man. Some good topics that you got going. The first one I want to talk about, though, I'm interested in this Bama and Michigan rematch. I think this is going to be the game of the whole playoff right there. Those, in my opinion, those are the two best teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to see Bama go up against Michigan's physical style of play. Michigan, everybody's acting like Michigan's a cupcake team, man. That is a physical, beat you up type of football team. They play really, really good defense. They got a first round offensive line. Joe Moore, candidate offensive line, which the Joe Moore Award goes to the best offensive line in the country. I don't know how many people know that. I know some people got to wake up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyle, I don't see where everybody thinks Texas is head and shoulders better than Washington. Washington won every single game. Let's put it like this. Who do you think will win head up, Oregon or Texas? I think Oregon will take Texas to the wood chipper, man. They played in the Big 12. They were one score away from UCF. They got beat by Oklahoma, and Oklahoma got beat by Iowa State. So everybody doing all the Texas hype, don't let what y'all seen against Oklahoma State fool y'all. That was a facade. Y'all don't take any credit for what Florida State did to Louisville. Don't take that into effect of what Texas just did to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is not very good at all. They got beat by an FCS team, man. So now we got the pretenders out the way. Everybody's upset about the playoff, man, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Florida State still should have got in, regardless of what anybody says. That's an undefeated team. They beat everybody who was put in front of them. Before the season, Kyle, what'd you hear about Georgia's schedule? It's the weakest schedule. It's a week. Georgia got a clear-cut way to a three-peat national championship. Well, it looks like they are sitting at home right now watching everybody else getting ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
We play the games for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If we just went off what we predicted, then Alabama would have won every single game because they were favored in every single game this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I just I'm glad that we're going to the 12-team playoff. So some of the drama can sizzle down, man, because this is really worse than the BCS.
Mm-hmm.
What just happened to Florida State is the reason why we switched to the playoffs instead of the BCS, because you had undefeated Auburn getting left out of the championship, or just similar situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, Jalen Milroe, he's Vince Young. He's Cam Newton of these times.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's yelling out Lank, he's yelling at the Alabama fans, because Alabama fans are the only ones. Nobody else doubted Jalen Milroe. Nobody else doubted Jalen Milroe in the country. Everybody knew his athleticism, his speed. He's just a baller. He goes out there and he gets it done. He got it done against Texas A&M last season.
Mm-hmm.
So I never seen where all the hate and the doubt was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask Alabama fans this: y'all still want Ty Simpson in there to start? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Milroe, I said it all summer, Kyle, whenever I talk to you. Milroe gave Alabama the best chance to win the Natty.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Stay on, Jawan, for a second, man. I appreciate you calling in. I think kind of getting back to a couple things. Number one, I want to hear your take about and I said, like, I don't want to talk about Florida State anymore. I don't disagree with you a lot, because you do have a great context of the show. I just don't feel that Florida State had the overall resume, even with Jordan Travis as a quarterback. A couple of things why. Number one, I watched them play against Boston College. They should have lost that game. I know they didn't. They were trailing against Duke, same thing. And you could say the same thing about Alabama, but I think as you look to them specifically,
right,
even without Jordan Travis, they were down 13-0 to North Alabama, which was a weird score. And then they came back under Rodemaker. I just think, like, I can't see them being a top 4 team with Jordan Travis, and it's specifically out. And if you watch the ACC title game, I just didn't like that. And then the other thing that I didn't agree with you on is the fact about Oregon and Texas. And I think the difference within that game, is the play of Texas's defense, and I think they're underrated. And the reason is I saw them in week 2, and they've kind of grown up. So I'm kind of curious to hear your rebuttals on the Texas and Oregon, and then also on Florida State, because I think Georgia's better than I think Georgia's better than Florida State. I think that Oregon's better than Florida State. I think that Washington's better than Florida State. You know who I think's better than Florida State? Missouri and Ole Miss. Go ahead, Juwan.
I agree with you, but did they win all their games?
Yes.
And that's all. And all you can do is win your full schedule of games. Okay, I think Oregon takes Texas to the wood chipper, and I'll tell you why. That Alabama's not that same team that they played in week 2. If Alabama plays Texas, that's going to be a bludgeoning, and I promise you that. And I see with Bo Nix going as crazy as he is right now, it really, between him and Jaden Daniels, it's a coin flip on that Heisman, man. And that is not an easy team to deal with. Now, look at who Oregon's defensive coordinator is, Dan Lanning. If he can't scheme up something against Michael Penix Jr., and this is just my opinion, Quinn Ewers is not close to Michael Penix Jr. at all. Yeah. What game did you see where he really just set the world on fire? I'm not really all in on Quinn Ewers as a player. I'm really not.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I feel like for every team,
Penix is definitely
every team. If we want to go through and we can go through every single team and nitpick on certain games. Like we can say, look at Southern Florida and Alabama. Look at Arkansas and Alabama. They never separated themselves. Look at when Alabama played Tennessee, and Tennessee was playing smash mouth football, and Jalen Milroe had to come back in the second half and will them to a victory. That's lack of game control. I look at all the things that the committee considers whenever they put a team into the playoff, and honestly, they don't follow any of it. They wait till the conference championship games are done, which is what they just did, and then they determine what the best teams were then. All this season, I thought Alabama was a good team. I don't care how you win. I don't care if you win by 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. You won the game, and it's hard to win every single game in front of you, especially in the Southeastern Conference or even major college football. So when Florida State, they played a common opponent, LSU and Alabama. Florida State took them to the wood chipper. And then if Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman, that's just a bigger slap in the face to Florida State. We played this guy, one of the best in the country, the best quarterback in the SEC, and we beat him whenever we had a full, healthy team. And a lot of people don't follow Florida State. Jordan Travis was going to be a second-rounder. Renardo Green, cornerback, he's going to be a first or second-rounder. Jared Verse, undisputedly, is one of the best defensive end/edge players in the country. He's going to be a day one pick. Florida State has a lot of talent, but I just feel like after this, everybody just wants to kick them around and just crap on them. They're not a garbage team like everybody thinks. And Tate Rudemaker was going to be back next week. He was going to be out of concussion protocol. So the fact that they played with a freshman quarterback, hey, what would Alabama look like if Lonergan was in the game? I don't think we would think that they're one of the best 4 teams either. So I don't know, man. I just think like there is certain bias. It's not a Bama bias, it's a Saban bias. If Saban was at LSU and this was going on, then they take LSU. If he was at Arkansas, they would take him because Saban runs college football, not the commissioner. He's the guy. And I've seen both guys, Kirby and Nick Saban, make their push for the playoff after the conference championship game. And I said this was my opinion. I said if Alabama beat Georgia, they need to leave Georgia out. And I was happy about that because wins have to mean something. Because basically what they're telling us is the regular season doesn't mean anything. And that's something that's bothering me about the sport. Because wins and losses actually used to mean something. And now they don't mean anything. Because I honestly don't think Texas is a very good team, man. I've seen their slate, and I've seen who they played. They never convincingly beat anyone. They played against UCF and BYU and those kind of teams. If you're Texas, 5 stars everywhere, you're supposed to go out there 49-10, 56-10. You see how Alabama took Kentucky apart? That's what you're supposed to be doing every week in that conference because against contrary belief, Texas has similar style players as Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
From the defensive line and the offensive line to some of the skill guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm cheering for Washington versus Bama because I'm an SEC guy.
Yeah.
I think Washington is going to shock a lot of these guys. Michael Penix, pinpoint accuracy. You got Jalen McMillan, Roma Doomsday. You got Dylan Johnson's been running the football good. Man, I'm taking Washington, and I'm taking Washington by 2 touchdowns. Because if anybody's seen how Washington gave Oregon the beats in that Pac-12 championship, man, that's a different football team playing.
All right, Juwan, I appreciate the feedback, man. It's always good to hear from you. I hadn't heard from you in a while, man, so I was wondering. So it's good to get your kind of take, like, post the SEC championship stuff. So definitely call back, man. I love your take on college football. I like kind of the outside look, and I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. Have a good one.
All right, man. That was Juwan. So Juwan, he's great because he has an outside perspective, right? And I think you need that to the show to see kind of how other fans. He's from Arkansas, so that's kind of like his background, but he knows college football when he breaks down the schematics really good. That was kind of the first time that I didn't agree with a lot of his takes. Like, I feel that Texas is a good football team. And I'm not just saying that because they beat Alabama. I think they're a pretty good football team. And I think they're one of the hottest teams, too. I think they got weapons on the offensive side. Same thing with the defense. I was kind of harping on Texas because there was that time where they barely beat Kansas State, and then they beat TCU by a combined 6 points. That was without their quarterback. Then he came back. That was under Malik Murphy, I think. And then he came back. But the way that they have ended the season is pretty impressive to me. I don't believe in the Pac-12 teams, just like I don't believe in the ACC teams. Sometimes it's hard for me to get out of, like, the past does not dictate the future. And he's right. Like, Michael Penix is an absolute baller, and he's a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. But I think overall, Steve Sarkisian will have that team ready to go. And I think Texas's defense is better than Washington's, offense. And I think that will be a matchup that, like, he's taking Washington by 14 points. Man, I was on the other side. I was thinking that Texas beat Washington by 14. All right, we go back to the phone lines, and we got a 251. Hey, thanks for being patient. I appreciate you calling in. Kyle Henderson, who am I on line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, man, it's Robert from Mobile.
Hey, Robert, I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
Hey, yeah, Alabama did what they had to do, and Florida State simply didn't do what they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
It came down to a beauty pageant and style points towards the end of the season. And because with Alabama just beating Georgia, I mean, you can't get more beautiful than that. I don't care if you beat Georgia by 1 point. You're not going to blow Georgia out. Nobody is.
Mm-hmm.
But Louisville is a team, if you're a college football, a top 4 team in the country, you do blow them out.
Uh-huh.
Especially that Louisville team, the way they played that day.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, in fact, forget top 4. Every top 10 team, other than Louisville blows out. Other than Florida State blows out Louisville in that game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think LSU does to Louisville in that game? What do you think Kentucky does? What we saw Kentucky beat Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think any other top 10 team does? They blow Louisville out. You can't let Louisville hang with you for 4 quarters. Look, and it wasn't that Louisville was just playing out of their mind that day. No, they were terrible. They want to say, well, Florida State team defense made them terrible. No, I watched that quarterback throw it right to your receiver, to your defender. That's not your defense making them look bad. That's him throwing it right to your defender. Okay, when they're on the goal line, about to score, just don't throw it right to the man to the defender.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, that wasn't your defense. That's just a quarterback making a bad read or not seeing anything. I guess I don't know. So and you can't have a quarterback. Your quarterback pass on the 55 yards in the championship game. And Louisville, they're not world beaters. I mean, okay, you can say they're off. You shut down a good offense. Your defense shut down a good offense, maybe. But your offense didn't fail to score on a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Your offense failed to score on a mediocre defense that, again, Kentucky, who has trouble scoring against any good defense, knocked off 38 points on. So you had no case.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 2 times to see your backup quarterbacks perform well. And you say, well, they beat an SEC team in Florida. Yeah, and that's a Florida team who's lost, 5 games in the SEC?
Mm-hmm.
And they had their backup quarterback in. Hey, maybe Florida had their starting quarterback. They beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So no, when Ohio State had their backup quarterback down their third string, we got to see a good body of work from them. And Ohio State realized, all right, hey, we won in this. We can't just win.
Mm-hmm.
We have to beat this team down.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to beat that team down.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do that, Florida State. And you're going to have a passer. So for that Florida State team, you got Tim Brando and Greeny on ESPN and Booker McFarland on ESPN saying that you have to keep out an Alabama team that's playing out of their minds right now, that knocked off defending national champ, although there's no such thing as defending national champ in football. No, they don't take your trophy away from you if you lose, but whatever. But you're still a Georgia team that hadn't lost in almost a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
You're going to keep that team out to put that team in. That wouldn't have made how this makes sense to people. And they want to keep throwing up deserving. There is no deserving. Oh, like you just said earlier, okay, if you go by deserving, then why aren't we talking about keep kicking out Michigan? Michigan doesn't deserve to be in there because they cheated. They cheated in a manner that directly affected their ability to win a game.
Yeah.
So why are they still in there if you talk about deserving? No, but none of them wants to mention Michigan, although I'll give Stephen A. Smith credit. He mentioned that in the debate with Greeny. Well, then why aren't you talking about Michigan then? Yeah. Keeping them out. Mm-hmm. They cheated. Yeah. It's known they cheated in a manner that direct. We're not talking about slipping a few bills to a player or something, or buying a book. I think that's what they got Alabama for years ago, buying a player a book. We're talking about you stealing a sign that from an opponent during the time, and to give yourself an unfair advantage in the actual game. Mm-hmm. You can't get any more worse than that. Nope. But no conversation about Michigan. 3-game suspension. Okay, that's good. We're done. Really? Okay, right. Yeah. Well, okay. But Alabama took care of business. All these people who hate, they just hate because they hate Alabama. That's bottom line. They hate Alabama. They'd be fine if Georgia was back in it over Alabama. Alabama just beat them, but they put Georgia back in. They would have been fine with that. They would rather see Georgia 3-beat than Alabama win again. Mm-hmm. That's just straight up Alabama. Hey, okay, whatever. Well, and we would have more faith in this committee if they hadn't been ridiculous all this time keeping Alabama at 8. I was more worried about Alabama beating Georgia and not getting into the playoff because of the committee than I was Alabama actually beating Georgia.
Yeah, and you know
what? I was thinking the odds were more against them.
Another thing, too, that kind of stressed me out, too, and which we found basically to be pointless, was remember when I was telling everybody to go check out those all-state playoff prediction rankings or whatever on ESPN? Those were meaningless. Those didn't mean anything. There was 2% this and 55% this, and they had all these scenarios. I wasted a lot of time, with that software kind of going around, and I wasted a lot of time doing that. And then it was nice today to wake up and not have to do resumes. I just kind of waltz on over and put together a good script and. Is good to go. So, but yeah, those were completely meaningless. And you're right, putting Alabama at 8, and that the whole thing, it was, I don't know. I mean, it was they shouldn't have been back there, but I get it. The head-to-head weighed so much to them, and that was a playoff play-in game. Okay, so Robert, I mentioned that Texas and Alabama, hottest teams in, and I think it'd be hard-pressed to say anyone else was, even though Washington is 13-0 and they're coming off a win over Oregon. I just don't see it. How do you give me your take on the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl? How do you see those two games panning out?
Well, of course, with the Alabama and Michigan, I mean, come on. Michigan plays right into everything Alabama does. The quarterback is, middle of the road at best because they don't light up the scoreboard passing. And so you're going to have to run against Alabama for 300. And you don't use trickeration and this like Auburn does, and you're not and there's no witch doctor poking needles in Alabama's back like at Jordan Hare that's going to help you out there. So we should run away with that game, especially if Milroe starts to hit his ceiling. If he starts to do everything he can do, then Alabama's unbeatable, and Michigan will get trounced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Milroe doesn't take off running or doesn't hit the check down sooner, then Michigan will probably let Michigan stay in longer than they should and make it a 4-quarter game. But I don't see this being a 4-quarter game. You got in Michigan, you play right into Alabama's strength. You're gonna try to outmuscle Alabama, and that just when is the last time that worked? But yeah, so I'm looking for us to beat them. I guess we'll wait later to get a score prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Now but Washington and Texas, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Washington does get down to quite a bit, and they keep coming up big.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. I mean, right now you're right. Texas and Alabama are the hottest two teams in college football, but
I don't know.
Texas
Jawan has me.
Season.
And Jawan kind of has me second guessing my large score prediction against Texas versus Washington. I don't know. I just look at their defense and I just think that what would the score prediction? What's the total points, Jarvis? If you're still here, what's the total points on Texas and Washington? It's got to be like what? Is it 75? Is it 80 points in that game? We know there's going to right. Thank you.
Probably.
Yeah, it's going to be like I don't know, 49-41 or something like that. I would assume, but I don't know. I just think that the Sugar Bowl is already kind of spoken for. Robert,
turns into a shootout. I think it favors Washington.
Yeah. What was there?
If it turns to a shootout, I think that favors Washington.
I just want to get your take. I know it's not, the transfer portal and how it's impacted, and I don't know, there maybe be more names that move out of Alabama or whatever, but when you heard that Tyler Buchner was in the transfer portal, you probably weren't surprised, but were you surprised that he's going for lacrosse? And now that we know kind of the backstory and that he's a good lacrosse player, I mean, sometimes you come to Alabama, it just doesn't work out. This is one of those weird situations because in the transfer portal for the last, several years, maybe 2 years, guys that have come from the transfer portal have been immediate impact players, right? The Jameson Williams, the Jahmyr Gibbs, the Trez Marshall, the Jermaine Burtons. Yeah. Those guys have, I think, we saw that from Burton this year, but there's some guys that haven't worked out. I mean, two of the biggest ones that just didn't work out at all. But Tyler Buchner and then Tyler Harrell. And I have honestly, not hating on the kid by any means this year, but I think that we thought that Malik Benson was going to perform at a much higher level than he is right now. Now, you can rise up and you still have 2 games to prove it, but maybe he's kind of been beat out by some of these younger wide receivers. But, Malik Benson's another guy that came in and we were really excited about him, but maybe, the other guys have just kind of passed him up.
Yeah, of course, Buchner doesn't, no surprise at all. I mean, we all knew that was coming. The one that scares me, though, would be Ty Simpson. If he transfers, that would be huge because there's potential there for Ty Simpson. It didn't work out in this season, but dude, if you wait your turn and you do a Mac Jones, I think it can benefit you later. So that would hurt us a lot. I'm looking at Ja'Cory Brooks to transfer, which is unfortunate. I don't understand. If you ask me who would be the man this year, Ja'Cory Brooks, Jermaine, or Isaiah Bond, I would say Ja'Cory Brooks. Mm-hmm. But it somehow, for some reason, it just didn't materialize. But I mean, that's how it goes. And I mean, it's sometimes the light goes on, sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Like I said, last time I saw Isaiah Bond was in the LSU game. I mean, the LSU game when Bryce Young threw him a perfect pass across the middle, and for a key first down that we needed really bad. We were like 3rd and 17 or whatever. He catches it. And, I mean, Bryce him in stride, and he got an easy first down, and much more. He drops the ball. Mm-hmm. that was to Isaiah Bond then. Isaiah Bond now, that was a catch, folks, in Georgia. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, he gives us that. He gives us 4th and 31. He went into absolute beast mode on that last drive. Yeah. And I mean, it's a wonderful thing to watch. This team is definitely more fun than any Nick Saban team, and we all appreciate all the past teams, no question. But this one, because there was just so much work that needed to be done. This is 2015 all over again. This is 2015 all over again. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of a season. Yeah. But all right, guys, that's about their talk.
All right, Robert. I appreciate you calling in, man. Catch up with you next time. All right, Robert. That was Robert from Mobile. We got an 850 up next. Hang tight. You got a 786 and a 936 right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Let me give you a kind of an update on how the schedule will work this remaining week and kind of going into this holiday break. So since Alabama has now won the SEC and is slated to go to the playoffs for the Rose Bowl, I'll keep you posted on the schedule in terms of the media opportunities that we get from the University of Alabama in terms of, opportunities with Nick Saban or with Jim Harbaugh as we go towards the Rose Bowl. Of course, you have signing day, which will be on December 20th. You will have Nick Saban at the podium, and I would assume that there's a couple more media availabilities with Nick Saban ahead of the Rose Bowl, so we will bring those to you right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And, of course, you can catch me every single day live at 9 a.m. Central Time right here on our YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys hitting the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Jarvis is saying that Michigan is favored by 1.5, and the total for that game is 45.5. Wow, low-scoring game out in Pasadena is what Vegas is anticipating, and the over is 65.5 for Texas versus Washington. I appreciate you with the update on that one. I definitely take the over for Texas and Washington 100%. All right, 850, appreciate you being patient. Let's do it. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, it's Raphael from Florida, Bama. What's going on, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, Rafael? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
Oh, yeah, man. I just want to say I'm proud, man. I'm proud that we shut all the naysayers up. I've been predicting this all year. I probably missed like a couple of weeks calling in, you know what I mean? But I was just being quiet, you know what I mean? I did respect a lot of the other teams. But Georgia, I felt that we were going to really have a one-up on them because it's super tough to face your equal 12-0. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you have been against unformidable opponents all year, like when you get somebody that's your equal, it's much tougher to face them. And I feel that's what happened with Georgia. What questions do we want to get into? Because I got a lot of interesting takes.
Well, I want to hear your thoughts on if the committee got the right four in, to be honest, because I think there's a lot of people who still feel that they don't. And Coach Saban's number was leaked, and people are upset about that. And they were calling him every name in the book. And, we've had some callers, today kind of express their take that they don't feel that, the top four teams are in. Florida State's still upset, and, senators are tweeting out stuff. So what's your take, Rafael?
People are weird, man. We got a lot of weird fans out there. Like, I don't know if you follow Jermaine Burton on Instagram, but the Georgia fans, how they come on his page, it's like, it's
Wow.
weird. You know what I mean? Like, humanizing them behind the game. You know what I mean? Yes, all football fans are probably most likely competitive, but it's a game, man. Like, you got to let people live their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's competition. Like, they were saying, like, oh, you were at Georgia first. You wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for Kirby. Well, Kirby wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for Saban. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here,
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not going to even say that. That'll be bad of me to say. I'd probably lower myself like they did. Like, Kirby learned a lot under Saban. Let's be honest. Everybody who's at the top of the top right now came under Saban. When that comes to Sarkisian, when that comes to even Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, he had a good season. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The two teams he lost to were two top teams. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, people are weird, for leaking his number. And, we got a lot of people who hate Saban for being a good, humble coach that he is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's been in it a while. He's been winning since 2009. But let's look at the facts, man. What did Bear Bryant say? He said, I want to be remembered as a winner.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's all they're going to have to say about me. Guess who followed in that path? Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, with all the weirdness, I don't care about it. Like, it is weird.
Did you see Jermaine Burton after the game as he was making those love emojis, and then one of the Alabama, and then one of the like SIDs for Alabama. There's a bunch of them had to come and like walk him off the field from it. Man, I mean, look, the guy's just, he's having fun with it. He's pissed off. He really don't give a F. So and when people have said that he's kind of been like the Tony Brown literally didn't care about a damn thing, 100%. So when you see that attitude, like every once in a while it comes around. There hasn't been too many players to have that kind of mindset. Jermaine Burton doesn't care. Like he really doesn't. He's going to do his thing, and that's it. And sometimes, in a weird way, especially like in business and in organizations, sometimes you need those type of people to be on your staff, to be on your team. It just works. You always have those different elements. Like if you watch The Last Dance, what did they say about Dennis Rodman, right? Phil Jackson, a guy of human behavior, guy like Nick Saban. You need those type of guys. They add this extra element to the recipe. And it works, and he is that guy. He came up with a touchdown pass, almost had 2 against Georgia. Trez Marshall comes up with the fumble. Former guys from Georgia. I asked Trez Marshall, you can watch it right here on our YouTube channel. I asked him, I was like, hey, is Georgia the best team you guys play? And he was like, look, I ain't going to answer that. He told me. But I think that, the reason is because he's like, look, in his process was a lot of the teams that we played are good. And that's the point he was making is – was Georgia the tough? Yeah, they were tough for that day, but man, 9-0 in SEC play. That's a dogfight every single week. That's why when you rewind to the 2020 team, when they only played SEC, that was football. That was fun every single week, right? You didn't have the Chattanoogas. You didn't have the North Alabama. You didn't have the South Florida. Every single week you had to come with it in the SEC. And for Alabama to win in 2020, to go undefeated, that team was amazing. Mac Jones completely balled out. All right, so Rafael, when we look to the board, Michigan is up next, and I think that a lot of people are excited about this matchup. When I think of Michigan, I look to their defense, and their corners are physical. Mm-hmm. Their defense is very good. This is a team that also has a chip on their shoulder, like Alabama, because a lot of people have made them out to be the villain. They've made the witch hunt for Jim Harbaugh never stops. Right? It's always this or that, the NCAA, and he continues to be the gingerbread man and dodge everything. He had a 3-game suspension, slap on the wrist. His assistant comes in. They win some big games without his presence. He comes back for the Big Ten title game, and they beat up on Iowa as we knew that they would. So what is your take when you look to Michigan versus Alabama? How do you see that matchup? What are some storylines that you're looking forward to?
So I'll say this. So let me put my take in on Georgia real quick. So Georgia was not our toughest opponent. It was LSU. When it came to the Auburn game, yeah, it was close, but we got 3 touchdowns called back. So that wasn't it. When it came to Georgia, we beat them after the first quarter. You know what I mean? It was nothing after the first quarter, pretty much. Like, we made a couple mistakes on defense. We should have had 5 interceptions, and I'm just looking at it from a perspective. So LSU was probably our toughest opponent. They came to play football for real. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Texas wasn't even our toughest opponent because it wasn't that we were equipped. We just had new coordinators, and they had to figure out where the puzzle pieces fit. Now they know that. And they give us a little bit of freedom on field to kind of run our plays. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Michigan has not played a real formidable opponent. When it comes to Michigan, they played Ohio State in a very close game. Ohio State was a one-trick pony. It was Marvin Harrison, and that was it. No run game, no nothing. You know what I mean? The defense was lackluster on Ohio State. So who have Michigan played for me to say, like, I'm worried about them?
Mm-hmm. And your thoughts on the Sugar Bowl? Because we had Jawan.
What about it?
We had Jawan from Arkansas today call in and said that he's expecting Washington to do whatever they want with Texas. That was the first time I think I've ever disagreed with my good buddy Jawan. I think Texas rolls up on Washington. Maybe that's because I want to see Texas and Alabama in the finals, but I don't know. I mean, when you look to Texas and Washington, I like Texas by a lot. Juwan was like, man, the way that they were able to beat
No.
Oregon twice, like, what's your take on that? And is it because now that we've seen
No.
Texas that we think that Texas is better? So help me kind of understand your thought process on the Sugar Bowl.
I tell you this, I watch games over and over and over again. I damn near watch film like I'm ready to play. When it comes to Washington, yeah, all of their games were 6-point wins or less. But Penix is a dog, man.
Mm-hmm.
He can shoot a fly off a finger. You know what I mean? That man is a pass. And the thing about it, he's never defeated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Texas could very well lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
Texas could lose that game. Penix, man, oh my gosh. What is that? What is that wide receiver that he connects with that has that weird like African name?
I'm not sure, but all those wide receivers from Washington are good to me. I mean, that's the thing. I think that
All of them.
one of the things that stood out to me from Washington is their wide receivers. Same thing with LSU. I mean, those guys were absolute monsters. I mean, it still trips me out that Malik Neighbors was targeted 17 times against Alabama, and you look to the Texas wide receivers; those guys are good. Washington has really good wide receivers as well. And Penix, I guess looking at the Heisman Trophy odds, it's actually Jaden Daniels is actually the favorite to win. Going into conference championship week, it was Bo Nix, but Jaden Daniels. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of those guys. They're absolute ballers. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. up there as a wide receiver is one of those guys. So I don't know. I mean, all I know is that Washington's good. Coach Saban definitely wanted their offensive coordinator to be here. It's worked out with Tommy Rees. Clearly, we know why the OC stayed out there is because he had a lot cooking out in Washington, and they're undefeated going into the Sugar Bowl. Anything else, Rafael, on the board that you want to talk about before we bounce out?
Yeah. So like I see a lot of people in the comments saying like LSU was 3 losses. Cool, you can say that all you want to, but you could be 3 losses and still have the number 1 offense in CFP. Everybody knows that if Georgia had to play LSU, it wouldn't have probably went as well as their season went. If you look at their film, Jaden Daniels was. If we hadn't got to him and hit him like we did, we would probably been. It probably would have came down to the bottom of the 4th quarter. Just to be honest, you know what I mean? LSU was lackluster because of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it was defensive talent. It was defensive play calling and recognizing different offenses. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying Arkansas was trash.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas very well was a good team. Their record does not speak to that, though. You know what I mean? Ole Miss was a great team, but their record does not speak to that. Totally. I think they ended the season with 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. We're going to go in there and whoop on Michigan because the committee wants to see Michigan out of there for cheating anyway. We're going to go in there and whoop on Michigan. I think it's a chance that Washington comes out of the Sugar Bowl and we end up, instead of playing Texas, which we want Texas, we want our revenge. That's what we have a list and we're checking it twice. That list is getting back everybody who played with us from last year and this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we really want Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a chance that Texas goes in there and they think they're going to walk all over Washington, and it's not going to happen. Washington, Penix is going to move, he's going to get mobile on them. He's going to throw all over Texas. Texas just caught us with our pants down. That's not going to happen with Washington.
All right, Rafael, I appreciate you calling in, man. Take care from Florida, man, and call again next time.
All right, roll tide.
All right, roll tide to you. This was just released from the University of Alabama. This is from their social media feed. I'll read this out. So the first team SEC came out. And remember, when you look back to in Nashville, there was just one guy on offense. So now to read it out, there's 2 guys that made the SEC team, and it's J.C. Latham and Tyler Booker. And then you have Will Reichert, who is first team on as the kicker. And then on the defensive side, you have Dallas Turner and Kool-Aid. So the one addition was Tyler Booker because J.C. Latham was a first-team guy as a preseason candidate. So you look to how those guys have transformed, and really the offensive line, I think, has really been a storyline of Alabama's team because of Caden Proctor, Tyler Booker, J.C. Latham, of course, being the staple of that. And then Seth, how about his transformation as a player as well? Remember the bad snaps and everything that was happening with that. All those guys have continued to improve. Of course, Jaden Roberts. If there's an unsung hero on this team, how about Jaden Roberts? My goodness. And what is Jaden Roberts? What is Tyler Booker? What do Caden Proctor? What do those guys have in common? They're underclassmen. Jaden Roberts, redshirt sophomore. Tyler Booker, true sophomore. Caden Proctor, he's a freshman. Those guys are coming back next year. Jalen Milroe, he's a redshirt sophomore. You got Jan Miller, he's a sophomore. Amari Nyblack, he's a sophomore. Isaiah Bond, he's a sophomore. Kendrick Law, he's a sophomore. Kobe Prentice, he's a sophomore. You want me to keep going? My goodness, that's a lot of sophomores. And they were sophomoric at a time. They were freshmen at a time. Now they are more established as you go to the Rose Bowl. All right, next up, we have a 502. Let's do it. Hey, I appreciate you calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
John from Kentucky.
John, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Funny story, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a Kentucky Wildcat fan. I live in that area. So he was talking about Proctor. He said, "Man, you're going to lose Proctor because he's going to be going to NFL like he's that good." I said, "Dude, he's a freshman." And I'm like, he said, "Really? He's a freshman?" I said, "Yeah, he's a freshman." But that offensive line to me is the unsung hero of this whole campaign because they developed. Wolford's done a really good job with this offensive line, and and we've recruited at such a high level to where we're at now. And oh man, it's just really fun to watch this offensive line because before with Bryce Young we were under a sort of a finesse team. Now we meat and potatoes and we can run you down. And What question I have? What about? Do we have to worry about signal stealing in any of this? I mean, did they got that under control? That was one of the questions that I had. And we earn the right to be there.
Yeah. I think when you look to the sign stealings, like I think it happens in college football. If Nick Saban, really had a problem with it, I think that he would say something about it, or I think that he would send a message through the media about it. I don't think they're too concerned about, the sign stealing. I think that sort of stuff, it happens all the time. And when you talk to people who have played at the highest level, they really didn't say much about it. Therefore, you kind of move forward from it. And these teams, they're going to change their signs. They're going to do different types of installs before the Rose Bowl. So, it is something for kind of the media and for people to talk about. And of course, as I said, look, Jim Harbaugh to me is a little bit awkward in his coaching style, and even how he addresses the media sometimes. It's a little bit strange, but he is a good football coach. And I think that, the witch hunt with him, it's always something with him. It's always something with Coach Saban. Sometimes with Coach Saban, it's more positive than it is negative. But with the program of Alabama, it's more negative, right? You don't want them there because they continue to win. Plain and simple, Michigan's defense, I think, is the backbone of their team, just as it is for Alabama. I like the matchup for Alabama for various reasons. I just don't think that Michigan has seen a quarterback as dynamic as Jalen Milroe. He hasn't played his best game just yet, which is scary because that is going to come eventually. And he has the takeover ability. What he was able to do in the fourth quarter, I mean, nobody else in college football, you can't do that. I mean, Georgia's defense is elite as well. What do they rank? Like number 5 in college football going into that game. They couldn't stop him. So leading Alabama down 75 yards downfield was the ultimate deciding factor in that game. What else you got, John?
3 penalties. We had only 3 penalties in that Georgia game.
Oh my goodness!
And that was
unbelievable.
That's one of the things that got cleaned up big time from last year, and even at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of collectively things that they did through the season that they cleaned up, and you know how teams say, well, we got to get better. Well, that team did get better, and they did clean that up.
Yes.
And, so that was one of the things that. And then Washington's going to give Texas a hard time, but I think Texas will beat them. But that's just in my opinion.
Yeah,
thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, I appreciate it, John. Thank you so much, man. I'm about to get going here. I've been on an hour and 30. I went a little bit over today. There's just so much to dive onto. I'll be on tomorrow again at 9, and then on Thursday and Friday. So if I didn't get to you today, hold it against my head, not my heart. I'd take all your calls if I would. Maybe I'll just have an all day, call-in show. But I changed things up. As you can see, I'm standing now. I don't know. I do have this like small standing. I don't know. I just wanted to see if it was a different vantage point. I'll have to see how that kind of works out. But okay. Let's see. AJ wants to call in. You guys want AJ? Thumbs up. Should we take AJ? AJ, I didn't see you. 631. All right, let's do it. AJ.
Hey, Kyle, what's up, man?
Dude, I almost missed you. You called in with the buzzer beater. Yo, so a couple things, AJ. No, AJ. Okay, a couple things. Okay, number one, you got me in trouble because Jalen Milroe's dad is pissed off at me because of the hate and the disregard and the disrespect. I mean, dude, he was literally mad at me after the game. I haven't said anything. I haven't said anything negative about Jalen Milroe. You have
ever. You defend him every single time.
Thank you. All right. So with that said, AJ has called back. I appreciate you, man. Give me your take, man. I really hope you're here to apologize to Jalen. Are you?
First of all, roll damn tide.
Thank you.
I personally didn't think we were making the playoffs. I didn't see us going from 8 to 4. I was like, come on. FSU's undefeated. They're going to put FSU in. So, yes. Okay. Number one, Alabama is hands down the best team in the playoffs. Hands down, not even close. But I ain't call about Alabama. I call about my boy Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
So, hold on. I'm going to halfway apologize. I underestimated the kind of player he was. He was hands down the best player on the field, and it wasn't even close. He's a special kind of weapon, man. I'm amazed how athletic he is. It's crazy, and I'm glad we have him as far as that goes. I still think he's a below average passer. He's a great college quarterback. Let me make sure people understand what I'm saying to you, because I heard a lot of, he's not an Alabama fan. He's just like, I'm an Alabama fan to my core. I'm from New York. I'm the only person in this area who even understands college football. Everybody hears Yankees and Giants and all this nonsense. I'm Alabama to my core. That's why I'm so hard on these kids, because I want greatness. Now, he is a great college quarterback. Let me apologize. I'm sorry to anybody. I was wrong. Jalen Milroe is a great college quarterback. He is a below average passer. He is still below average at reading defenses. He missed so many open receivers in the game, it's not even funny. We should have blown out Georgia. He missed Burton 2 times up the middle. He missed the kid 17 twice across the middle. He's locked on receivers, and he just, if his first option's not there, for some reason he never goes to number 2. And that's not taking away from the great quarterback that he is, but he leaves so much to be desired passing the ball, man. He's below average. But with that being said, I'm glad he's on my team. I'm glad we have him. I wouldn't take any other quarterback left in the playoffs because of his dynamic running and his deep balls. I wish he could pass the ball a little more, more accurate, more consistent, read defense. But he's only a redshirt sophomore, I think. He's a sophomore, right? Mm-hmm. Redshirt sophomore. Yep. He has time to develop. I want to apologize. He is much better than I thought. I want to publicly apologize. I'm glad he's on my team. And I said to you, the game is going to be won by defense and running the ball. I said that when I called you last time. I said defense got to make a play, which they did, and running the ball. We are the most physical team left. It's not even close. So that's why I called. I'm apologizing to you. Even though you said he's going to have a great game, he did not have a great game, but he made certain key plays that nobody else in the country could make, and I'm glad he's on my team. So I apologize.
I think people accept your apology. Look, the thing I love about this show is I want people to call in and be authentic. Like, if you have your opinion, then state your opinion. That's what makes this call in show great. I do agree with you on one aspect. It wasn't his most accurate game, right? There was clearly passes that he wasn't accurate, and that wasn't by far his most accurate game. But let me ask you about this, AJ. Do you feel, though, because you've watched clearly the growth, what have you thought about his transformation from week 2 to now as a quarterback? Because I think there was a time where a lot of people were probably saying that he wasn't the guy, they wanted to see somebody else. But have you seen an improvement from him from week 2 up to this point?
The only thing that's improved with Jalen Milroe is his confidence. That's it. He still throws the same ball. His accuracy hasn't improved. His reading defense has not improved. He's still below average at that. He started below average. He is currently below average. But with confidence, we all know with confidence you play above what you're supposed to play. I think he now knows he's the leader. He now knows this is his team, and Alabama goes where he goes. So I think his confidence is up. But you could tell during that Georgia game, even the Georgia fans, I watch all these podcasts, even the Georgia fans were saying he's rattled a little bit. His passes are not accurate. He's not going to the second read. He's going to his first read, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So you could tell he's still not comfortable playing a passing quarterback. I think his confidence is much better than it was before, mainly because Saban and the team has told him, solidified him as the team leader. The job is not on the line. It's not a competition. It is your position, your team. You're the leader. So I think you're seeing a more confident Jalen Milroe. But as far as passing, man, listen, I know football, bro. I played Division I football, man. I'm not stupid. The kid can't pass. He's a below average passer, and what I don't like is he doesn't go to his second and third reads. He doesn't read the defenses well. He does. We have to admit that. Just because you're an Alabama fan does not mean you look through the goggles of a blind fan. You just say, "Oh my God, he's amazing." Part of this is judging football. I'm glad he's on my team. I love his athletic ability. I love his college football. Him as a college football player. I don't love his passing. I don't love his reading defenses. I don't. But fortunately, we're done playing the best team that we can play, Georgia. No other team left is going to pose a threat as far as making him play NFL passer. Georgia is the only team that could possibly make him be a passer. Every other team is too slow, Michigan, way too slow, or don't have the talent, which is everybody else. I think it's our national championship. I think Roll Tide. I think we got this. We're the best team, hands down. I just want him to improve as a passer and reading defenses. But his confidence is so much better than week 1 or week 3. So much better. Week 2, I'm sorry. Week 1 and week 2. So much better. So like I said, man, I'm glad he's on my team, man. Roll Tide.
Let's switch gears 1 second, AJ, before I move to the next caller. So the thing about Milroe is the two things that really stood out to me against Georgia were the fact that he refuses to make a bad decision, right? He didn't force any bad balls that he had to. And I think the fact like his field awareness has much improved. And what I mean by that was there was a time late in the game where he could have ran out of bounds or took in a big collision, but basically he slid down to keep the clock moving. So those type of things are improvement as a quarterback and not forcing bad decisions, because a player like him, he's smart enough to know like he would probably rather take a sack than throw an interception, which would be detrimental to the team, because a 3rd and 15 to Jalen Milroe, he has so much speed that if it isn't there, that he can pick it up on the ground, or he has playmakers around him.
One thing I have to say, Kyle, which I love about Jalen Milroe, he does not turn the ball over. I love that about him. He does not turn the ball over. He'll make a dumb play here. He'll take a sack he shouldn't take. He'll miss a receiver here and there, but he does not turn the ball over. That is so big. That is why we beat Georgia. If you look at the game, we had 0 turnovers to their 1. That 1 turnover is how we won that game. That field goal, we got the turnover and it became a field goal. That's how we won the game. So that's what I love about Jalen Milroe. As much as I'm hard on him with passing the ball, can't read, I love the fact that this kid does not turn the ball over. And he's the best player left he's the best player left. I wish he could throw. I wish he could read defenses and throw, but he makes big plays with his legs. He'll make a big pass here and there. It's not often consistent, but he'll make the big play, and I know we're going to absolutely dominate Michigan. And I love the fact that my quarterback does not make bad choices. I wish he was more accurate.
David,
But
inside the comment box is saying that Milroe is ranked as the number 3 quarterback rating in the country. So, all right, AJ. So we got a halfway apology. We're still going to make you a believer by the end of the season. And so let's move from Milroe real quick.
I'm a believer. Yeah. I'm Roll Tide. Oh, listen, man. I wish people understood how much I love this team, man. I love this team. I loved it for the past 12 years of my life. I love this team. I just, you know what, Mac Jones and Tua, they spoiled me. I got used to the 3,000, 4,000 yard passing seasons. I got used to 300-yard passing games. So now I'm kind of like used to that. So now I'm going back to the pre-Tua days, you know, the throwing for 130, throwing for 200, the rush the ball, kind of low scoring. I'm getting used to that. I'm still with you, man. Roll Tide, man. It's just, I just wish he could throw better. That's it. I just wish he could throw. Like, Mac Jones spoiled me, man. Mac Jones and Tua and all them receivers, they spoiled me. They spoiled me. I'm sorry, they did.
On the season, Jalen Milroe has thrown for 2,700 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. All right, let's switch gears for a second. AJ, I know you're so opinionated, so I want to get your take on this, okay? Don't hold back. Florida State, what's your take on the whole Florida State conspiracy? Tell Florida State fans why they are not a top 4 team.
Okay. This is so easy, it's not even funny. Okay, first of all, the strength of schedule. Alabama's is 5th strength of schedule, Alabama. And the SEC. Florida State is 51 or 55. Last time I checked. They have the 50-something strength of schedule. You lost your starting quarterback. You played an underwhelming game against Louisville. You barely won that game. If we talking about the most deserving team, you might be in the, but realistically, man, it's big boy football. Honestly, Georgia should be number 4. If we really wanted to take the best teams in the country, it should be, if we're talking about the best teams in the country, it should be Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Michigan 3, and whoever's 4. That's realistically what it should be. But we know that the committee won't do that. Florida State does not play big boy football. They do not. I'm sorry, you don't. You're underwhelming. You play out a great season, a soft schedule. And I hear people say all the time, Florida State beat LSU. Florida State beat, yeah. Okay. This is what people don't understand about the gauntlet of the SEC, right? Especially the SEC West. It's a gauntlet. It's not about whether you could beat a team any given day. Of course you can. Any team could beat any team any given day. It's just football. We're talking about going through the gauntlet. Week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's why you reward the SEC teams. It's not because you could beat them on any given weekend. It's the mental fortitude to play SEC big boy football for 10 weeks in a row. That's hard. So yes, FSU can beat LSU. Yes, FSU may be able to beat Texas A&M any given Saturday. Yes, but can they play Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama back to back to back? No, they can't.
No way.
No, they can't. That's the problem. It's a gauntlet.
Yeah.
People don't understand the gauntlet. That's why FSU is not in. It's not that they don't deserve it, but this is best 4 teams. It should be Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, and whoever's left. That's the best 4 teams. But they don't have the balls to put Georgia back in there.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
100%.
They don't have the balls to say Georgia is still a top 2 team in the country. Because honest to God, Kyle, the only team seeing Bama is Georgia. Let's be honest here. The only team that can match up with Alabama, man for man, recruit for recruit, talent for talent, is Georgia. That's the only team in the nation that can man-to-man say, I'm better than Alabama. I don't think they are, but they can say it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is not hard.
Yeah. I said
it's
that.
Not hard.
I said that as well. I said that you probably watched the national championship game last Saturday, honestly, between Alabama and Georgia. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
If Georgia played If Georgia played Texas or Washington right now, it would have been a blowout. It would have been a blowout. We know that. Georgia's been a thorn in our ass for the past 5 years. They are our equal. They showed a stat showing we were down in halftime. We were down at some point in every game in the past 4 years we played against Georgia. We were actually down by 10, by 14. But Georgia is not scared of us. Georgia is our equal, and they are the second best team in the nation. And we need to stop with this nonsensical format, most deserving. No, best team. Mm-hmm. We play in the SEC. Of course, Georgia's going to lose. They play Alabama. Georgia played Alabama. They lost. Georgia lost to the best team in the country, and they're number 6. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. They lost to the best team in the country, and they're number 6. You put FSU ahead of Georgia. You put Washington ahead of Alabama. Why? They don't play the same kind of teams. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. We don't see the best football because the people selecting these things are nonsensical, and they don't have the balls to say SEC football is big boy football. I'm not talking about any given weekend because, yes, you could beat a team. It's the gauntlet. This is why nobody talks about it. I don't understand that. It's the gauntlet. Week 1 to week 10. Can you play SEC football? Not 1 week out of your week schedule when you're playing freaking Virginia. No, week 1 to week 10. Can you play big boy SEC football? The only 2 teams that can is Bama and Georgia.
Yeah.
That's why FSU's not in.
Yep.
Point blank, period.
Yep. All right, AJ, I got to roll to my next caller, man, but I appreciate you calling in, man. We got the halfway apology, man. I appreciate your context on the ACC because I 100% agree with you on that. Catch up with you next time.
Cupcake schedule.
All right. See you, Jay. All right.
Roll damn time.
All right. That was AJ out in New York calling. We got a 786, a 786, a 337, and a 614. I guess we're just doing the all-day call-in show. Let's do it. All right, 786, let's go. Yeah, I appreciate you calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from? You on the line? Let's see. 786, you there? All right, try again. All right, looks like we got another 786. Try that one. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, what's going on, Kyle? It's Chad calling from Miami.
Hey, what's up, Chad? I appreciate you calling in, man. What's up, man? Hope you're having a good Tuesday, and welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to catch your live streams due to work, but I caught you today. But I usually watch your playbacks when I get a chance. And I watch Smooth when he's on after the games. Yep. Usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we appreciate your support. Yeah, there's a bunch of content, that we do circulate. People have different working schedules, but YouTube is always there, So I think with the platform, we try to, serve, the morning and the evening. But, yeah, I appreciate your support, man. What's on your mind, man? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, your last caller, man, if we're going to be objective, he's kind of right. If you look at most of the top passers, actually a lot of guys that are going in the NFL next year, compared to Jalen Milroe, even though Milroe's a first-year starter, if you look at his pass attempts, I believe he threw about 261 attempts this past season, even though he missed one game, that South Florida game. But most of the top passers like Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Drake May, they're around 400 plus pass attempts for the year. And a lot of them are completing 65 to 70% of their passes in the majority of their games. Milroe, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's still learning to be a pocket passer. But this past game against Georgia, he completed about 55% of his passes. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's just transitioning and becoming a more complete quarterback. Yep. If we're going to look at it objectively, because a lot of players will say, we won the game, but in every game, you got to look back at things and correct them. I think your last player said he was a D1 football player. So was I. So a lot of times you got to look back and you got to judge the game for what it is and fix those mistakes. And a lot of times fans, they look at it and a lot of guys that haven't played, they for some reason, as long as they win, they kind of look past a lot of the errors in the game and so on and so forth. But like I said, I'm not saying Jalen Milroe is trash. He's a good quarterback, It's just he's still in the learning process.
Yeah, and that's why I think I love the fact that he has realized that as well. He keeps saying not a finished product, and that's why he's coming back next year. That's why he's not at the Heisman Trophy table this year. But the fact of the matter is, the kid wins football games, and he's going to improve. And I think that you see what Nick Saban's been able to do with the quarterbacks over the last several years. It's been really amazing, right? And I think that when you look to the past quarterbacks, they are different from the current quarterback in Jalen Milroe. But imagine when Jalen Milroe, when we have Jalen Milroe next year at this time, I just think that the transformation overall, how he's been able to limit, play mistake-free football has been probably the biggest addition to him. And he has made big throws. I mean, he has been accurate when he that 4th and 31, that ball was an absolute rope. There's been other times where his deep ball was off the charts, and he has worked on that intermediate passing. He's not a finished product by any means, but the kid is still balling out of control, and he's the best player overall in college football, and the guy that can win the national championship for the team, which is the most important goal. He's a leader of the team believes in him, and I like the fact that he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Like, all this stuff is adding fuel to the fire. That's why I think the Heisman Trophy, that's it goes to the style points guy now, but I don't think we've even seen the best football from Jalen Milroe just yet, because he can completely take over either the Rose Bowl or the national title game, or probably both. What else you got, Chad?
Yeah, for sure. I think we got it in the bag, man. Like I said earlier, a few months ago, Texas, Georgia, and Michigan, those three teams are constructed exactly like Alabama. Like, if you look at their offensive line, defensive setup, so on and so forth, the only difference between us is the skill play of the quarterback. But besides that, the entire team is made up just like Alabama. So I guess it's kind of a copycat thing. On top of that, the sign stealing thing. If you guys have ever played sports before at any level, the saying is, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So a lot of people steal signs, man. So and it's not just football. They do it in baseball. They do it in basketball. So that's just a thing with sports in general.
Yeah.
Nick Saban, man, he's the coach of the year. He's done a hell of a coaching job, bro. Like,
yep.
I guess he was way more hands-on this year, especially bringing back Kevin Steele and bringing the young offensive coordinator. He did a hell of a coaching job this year. I say the only bad thing I see that's going to happen this year after they win the championship is we're pretty much going to be losing most of everybody in the secondary, because I know they're saying Terrion is a first-round pick now. Him and Kool-Aid, they're both going in the first round, and Malachi Moore is also a senior. So I believe all three of them are not coming back after this year. And we're probably going to have to bring in some more transfers, or if not, we're going to have some of the young guys starting next year. And then I think Michigan is kind of they were happy to be the number one team, but they're kind of pissed off at the same time because they got to face Alabama. They thought they were going to be playing FSU, which was going to be a cakewalk for them, and Jim Harbaugh is going to actually have to coach in this game. And like I said, I don't think they're going to be beating Alabama, man. And then what I really want to see is the rematch versus Texas, because I think Jalen Milroe is gaining his confidence back. And my main point is, what really pisses me off, especially with Booger McFarland, he kept on saying that Texas blew Alabama out, which is a damn lie, because if you watch the game, at the end of the third quarter, the game was 16-13. Alabama was up by 3 points. The reason why the game got out of hand was in the fourth quarter when Jalen Milroe threw 3 interceptions. Alabama ended up scoring 8 points, but Texas ended up putting up 21 on Alabama. And that's how they won by 10 points. But the game was not a blowout the entire game. I don't know what he's talking about. Alabama was up by 3 points at the end of the third quarter. So I don't know why they keep on saying, oh, Alabama was blown out. And then on top of that, Alabama went 4-1 versus ranked teams. Remember, we also beat Texas A&M when they were ranked at 25. So Alabama had one of the toughest schedules in the country. So we deserve. I don't like using the word deserve, but we earned the right to be in the playoffs more than any other team that's in it right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, AJ was saying, speaking facts last call about, the conference strength in the gauntlet. I mean, what Alabama was able to do in the SEC, what are they, 9-0 in SEC play? That's crazy. And Greg Sankey finally, something that, we could all agree with before the game even took place in the SEC championship. He said, one thing is not like the other. He was like, it's pretty simple. And that's the caliber and the competition of the SEC. And you look at that even next year with Texas and Oklahoma jumping in the division as well. That's why I was kind of curious, like, where is Dylan Gabriel going for a quarterback? I'm kind of wondering where he's going to end up in the transfer portal. But anyways, Chad, I appreciate you calling in, man. And please call again next time, man. Always good to hear from you, and appreciate your takes.
Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
All right, man. See you. All right. Okay, this is going to be my last caller of the day. We've gone a little long, 2 hours, but it's I don't even think it's long. We do this all day, honestly. I have a couple other meetings that I got to get to. Otherwise, I'll just stay here all day with you guys and talk football. Seriously, not a big thing to me. I mean, there's so much to talk about. It's all good. But this would be my last call. David, so if you're 614 and 786, you guys hang up and you guys can try again next time. So I don't want you guys to have to wait online. But 337, David, Louisiana, let's do it. David, I appreciate you calling in, man. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Oh man, just another beautiful day here in Louisiana. enjoying this little teleconference on YouTube that you got going on. I enjoy it every time. I've been so busy, that's why I hadn't got a chance to call in.
Is Jaden Daniels going to win the Heisman Trophy from Louisiana?
Honestly, I really think he deserves to win it. I mean, you got to look at it like this, you know. LSU's been down this year offensively with some injuries, defensively majorly, and he has put that team on his back more than any other quarterback in the country, in my opinion, you know, especially with him being down on defense, because I have never seen an LSU defense this bad, you know, in several years. They've always had a really good defense. You know, they used to call themselves DBU and wide receiver U and or just whatever. But I mean, the boy is an amazing quarterback. You know, and you know how much I like LSU. If they were on fire, I'd go buy the most expensive gasoline and dump it on them just to incinerate them even quicker. I'm not a big fan of LSU at all. That's like I said in the comments earlier. Out of all the SEC teams playing a bowl game this year, the only one I want to see lose is LSU. I could care less if everybody else wins. But he deserves to win it. I mean, look at what he's done, you know, with what he has. And Brian Kelly's not that great of a coach, in my opinion. I don't think he's built for the Southeastern Conference. He needs to go back somewhere else because you see a lot of guys transferred on him and everything. I'm not saying Brian Kelly's not a good person by any means, but I believe Daniels deserves to win the Heisman. If you don't agree with that in the comments, hey, that's fine. It's your God-given right and your First Amendment right to say what you want and believe what you want. But I think he deserves it. You know, he's a good quarterback. But let's get on about Milroe. I've heard a couple guys call in about Milroe. At the beginning of the year, I felt the same way a little bit, especially in the Texas game when he threw, 2 or 3 interceptions. You know, it was, you know, come on, Milroe, what's going on with you? And he put the team on his back. He started, you know, focusing and getting settled in. And he's done an excellent job. At one time, I believe he was ranked number 2 in the nation, right behind Jaden Daniels, for completions of 20-plus yards. 20-plus yards.
Wow.
That's an amazing feat right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, against top 25 teams, passing yards, he has thrown since the Auburn game 1,111 yards passing against top 25 teams.
Wow.
In the country.
Yep.
Against his rating against top 25 teams is a 157.8. His completion rating against top 25 teams is 63.5, and he has thrown 7 touchdowns against top 25 teams in the country. That's an amazing thing right there. That's a great thing. Mm-hmm. You know, just imagine, hopefully, I believe he will come back next year. I believe 100% he will come back next year because it's only 1 year. in as a starter. He needs another year, okay, to get more focused, more accurate, and things like that. Just imagine what happens next year. Now that he knows I don't have to stand in the pocket and try to find somebody open. I've got legs that are better than 98% of the people on the football field, and I can run the ball. You look at that little old quarterback, Mahomes. You know, he runs around, he runs the ball, and he ain't even near the size of what Jalen Milroe is. You know, Hurts has always been a running and a passing quarterback. Excellent. Excellent. But I believe this game against Michigan is going to be a knockdown, drag-out game. It is. Michigan's got a good physical team. They're trying to prove a point. And I've watched that video from two different angles whenever they went to the number 6 and then they went to Bama, and just the air left that whole room. They don't want none of Bama, because they know that when you have the greatest coach in college football, period, and he has this much time to prepare for your team, it's gonna be a bloodbath. And if Alabama can come out strong and shut them down, score, you know, we've seen it all year. Bama's been more of a second half team. They knew they had to play against Georgia for 4 quarters, you know. But if it gets out of hand in the second half, they're going to be questioning why they even put Michigan in the playoffs. You know, I feel sorry for Florida State. I really do. You know, I really do feel sorry for them. They done what they had to do all year, you know. But when you look at power rankings and strength of schedule and everything like that, it didn't even come close to what Alabama played. You're playing against, and they brought it up, well, the ACC beat 17 from the Southeastern Conference. Well, my God, Vanderbilt, you know, South Carolina, these little teams that could probably, Florida's not that great of a team. Now, if they had, who was that coach that used to coach for them? He's on the ESPN show.
Dan Mullen.
Oh,
Dan Mullen.
Yeah, if he was a coach for Florida right now, it'd probably be a different thing. You know, Florida would probably beat Georgia this year if they had the old coaches from back in the day.
They shouldn't have got they shouldn't have got rid of him. Hey, Dwayne, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Hey, David, hang on real quick. I want to address a couple points. I think somebody asked a question about Hugh Freeze and some of the flips that Freeze have gotten. Robert, what's up? I missed a question from you earlier, Robert, too. I think you asked about the transfer portal. I got to him right now before David and I close out. Robert is asking, why is Auburn stealing or going after Bama recruits? Ryan Williams, others illegal and cheating, Hugh Freeze, boss man. Look, the thing about it is, you know, they're always going to go after in-state type guys. Ryan Williams is an absolute baller. Reminds me of Jalen Waddle, and you can't throw that around loosely, right? There's some news that Ryan Williams is going to release within the next 6 days. I don't know if he's going to be a flip or that he's reclassifying. It could either be one of the others or something else. Who knows? I mean, he's a high school kid. The guy's an absolute baller. I think Hugh Freeze has the support of Yellowwood, so they can get anybody that they want because they just have that much money. I think you asked an earlier question, too, about the transfer portal and who Alabama would be targeting. I think there's 2 guys, and they're both from the same school, and I think they're both from Texas A&M. I think you have Walter Nolan, who is a former 5-star, and another former 5-star, and Evan Stewart. I think Evan Stewart, from the wide receiver perspective, it does make sense. He's an absolute baller, but there's already guys who are elite talents on this wide receiving unit that are coming back next year. I mentioned, 3 of them are sophomores, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, and Kendrick Law. But I think from Walter Nolan, I mean, if Alabama was to make a run at him and things work out, I think that could be a really nice landing spot for Alabama in terms of what they're looking for in the transfer portal. So you always go for guys who could be immediate impact players from the portal. Alabama's done that in the past. Usually the time that Alabama does that, it works out. Nick Saban has a high hit rate in terms of transfer portal guys coming to be an impact player, but just wanted to get to you on that. David, make your final point when we kind of look to the Rose Bowl, Alabama versus Michigan.
it's going to be a knockdown drag out for probably the first quarter when the butterflies get gone and out of the way and everybody gets settled in where like they're supposed to be. And I know Bama's always going to be settled in, but when you're playing in a high-stake game like that, the nerves are going to get to the best of you. I hope Kool-Aid comes back fine. If not, I know we have Trey Amos, who's a lockdown. He done excellent. You saw that. As soon as he came in and Kool-Aid got put out of the game, they went directly after him, and he made a great play.
He did.
Bam. And then he just continued making some good plays. We should have had 4 interceptions in that game. They need to put some rosin on their gloves or something where it sticks, something sticky. I don't know if that's illegal or not. I mean, hell, Michigan can send undercover people over there to steal signs or whatever. Why can't we put some sticky stuff on our gloves? Whoop-de-doo. I know it's illegal in boxing to put Vaseline on your gloves, but whatever. But it's going to be a knockdown drag out for a little while. Bama gets settled in. Bama's going to walk through them. As far as Washington and Texas, I watched Washington play a couple of games. They're about like Florida State, honestly. They got a good quarterback. He won't run the ball. I haven't hardly seen him run a ball all year, you know. He's kind of like a Milroe. He wants to stay in the pocket, throw the ball. And he's a great quarterback. I'm not knocking him. He is a good quarterback. He's an accurate quarterback. But I think Texas just has too much of a defense for them. They're big, strong, fast. And I know our offensive line was very, very, very shaky at the beginning of the year. But if we play Texas again, the way this offensive line has been protecting and playing, they're going to have some problems. And just imagine this. I know this is just a hypothetical, but what if Bama wins the national championship? I'm saying what if, because we never know. This is football. Anything can happen. Remember to kick sticks, you know, and all that crap. But if Bama wins, and this team that's coming back next year double peats, and then the team after that could possibly three-peat, you know, then they're going to be like, you know, who's the greatest? That would be awesome. But by the end, Coach Saban would be 75 years old if we could three-peat, you know, which would be an amazing feat. And I think after that, he'd be like, gotta go, gotta retire. But anyway, brother, look, go ahead.
I was just going to say, look, 75 years old isn't old. There was this guy, I'm telling you, this guy was, I don't know, he must have been 80 years old. He was playing golf, and I'm serious. You should have seen this guy putt here at North River. I'm serious. I mean, these guys are seasoned. They're great shape. No belly. Came out here. Him and his other buddy. They play. It was a tournament, a 2-player tournament. Man, you should see these guys. So, and Coach Saban right now, man, he looks amazing. Honestly, he looks great. I love, the dye in the hair. I mean, he's definitely locked in. And you know what else I've been noticing about Coach Saban more than anything is Coach Saban's memory and attention to detail to go back to specific plays. Not only in it, that's hard to do when you just watch the game. Coach Saban's able to do that in games from the past. So, I mean, Coach Saban's all in. And you're right. Jarvis is saying 75 is still 100%. So, David, I appreciate you calling in, man. And
hey, one more thing real quick.
Yep.
There was one coach, Penn State, Joe Paterno, was 84 years old whenever he was let go at the University of Penn State. 84 years old and was still the head coach.
Wow.
So, if Saban can stay healthy and all that good stuff, we might see him till he's 184 years old if the world don't come to an end by then. That would be an amazing thing. We'd have 400 national championships. But anyways, everybody, God bless each and every one of you. God bless this great country. If we don't talk again, because I've been busy, this is my only day that I've had off. I had a $75,000 job I had to go do over the week and everything, this past week and this weekend. But if I can get back on tomorrow or whatever, that'd be great. If I don't get to talk to anybody else, and y'all have a wonderful Christmas, and God bless each and every one of y'all. Roll Tide, roll.
All right, roll tide to you, David. All right, thank you very much for calling in. That was David. Heads up, real quick. Coach Saban was just announced. This is from the University of Alabama. They just literally posted this on their social media account. The Eddie Robinson Finalist Award. So this goes out to the Coach of the Year, and Coach Saban, certainly a finalist. So the awards will actually be announced on college football Friday night, and that's when all of college football awards will be determined other than the Heisman Trophy. So you got a list of guys. I'll bring a list probably in the community tab of guys who are up for awards. But Coach Saban, I mean, with the Eddie Robinson, I'd be no surprise if he was able to win that award. Sometimes he doesn't win the awards because sometimes people just expect Alabama and him to be good. But if you've really followed him this season, clearly the GOAT has showed why he is the GOAT. And, with David Pollack, saying that Kirby Smart was a better coach than him, I thought, man, that was what a time to say that. And what a time for Nick Saban to come through. I mean, still the man. And if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Nick Saban was able to do that with Alabama against Georgia, undefeated at Bryant-Denny East there at the Mercedes Stadium. Man, what an atmosphere, and I can't wait to see what this team can continue to do as we go forward. Fam, I appreciate you sticking with me for 2 hours and 15 minutes today. Really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel. If you want to become a fan funder, hit the join button up at the top of the YouTube channel. It's right next to subscribe. It says join. You can become a fan funder. If you're on your phone, you can scroll up and just hit the hyperlink and become a fan funder. I appreciate you guys' support. Thanks for all the super chats, and I will catch you guys next time right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. See ya.